Okay, now that we have GIMP installed, let's go ahead and run it and use it to make an image. So I'm going to go to Activities and launch GIMP. Some useful things to know. So here's a tools palette with commonly used tools, and most of these tools have a lot of variations. So the simplest one is moving things around, dragging and dropping, and but you can also move things in groups and align things and such like. Then there's box select, and there's various different ways of selecting like ovals instead of boxes, and you can feather the edges and use anti-aliasing. So even something relatively simple like a box select has a lot of variations associated with it. There's a lasso tool for freehanding a selection so that you can adjust an image at a particular area. This magic wand allows you to select regions of color that are similar. So you can define how close pixels have to be in the same region, all the way from any difference at all constitutes an edge between two colors, all the way up to fairly blurry so that you sort of get an area around it. And then you can distort the geometry of something. You can stretch it or shear it, modify it in various ways. I'm sorry, that's this one here. This is transform. This is crop. If you want to select a region of the canvas and then crop the canvas down to that. There's a warping, other kinds of distorting like whirlpool effects and things like that. You can fill an area of color with a paint can. You can draw freehand with various brushes. You can erase an area. You can copy an area and then use it to stamp new copies. You can smudge two colors together to blur a region like you would with chalk. There's a paths tool that you can use to lay out splines and curves and then stroke or fill regions. So this is basically like creating free form shapes. You can put text on top of images, which is something we'll be doing today, and you can also pick colors. And finally, you can adjust the zoom at various points on the canvas. So those are the tools we're using. Now, GIMP is a fairly complicated program, and it's very powerful, but you don't actually need to know that much to be productive to get started. And so most of the tools that we use today are going to be the tools that you use most of the time that you're drawing pictures. And then if you want to do something fancier, then there's plenty of opportunity to do that. So so what we're going to do is we're going to use various tools here to adjust our image in combination with some of the other things that we have. So here are a bunch of different brushes that you can use to draw with if you're freehand drawing. We're not going to actually do much freehand drawing today. There's ways of spacing things out. We will be actually using not channels but layers. So I actually closed my layers path. So here's layers, and we're actually going to be using this. So GIMP and Photoshop, they have a notion of building an image up out of a series of layers that are stacked one on top of the other. And then for each layer, you can have some areas that are transparent, or you can use an alpha channel to adjust how opaque the image is at different points, which affects how much of the layer beneath it shines through. And you can also adjust how layers are combined with the layers below them. So there are different modes of combining layers. And you access all of that from the layers tool, which is really handy for building up an image. So we'll do some of that today. And then there's a whole bunch of filters that you can use to adjust or enhance an image. And we'll see some of those, but there's a lot of them. Most most of the things you can think of there are in here. So obviously it will take a long time to use all of them. I have not used all of them and probably never will in my lifetime. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to do something pretty simple, which is we're going to make a meme. And a meme is generally a stock image or commonly used background image that's used for a meme with some text layered on top of it. And then we're going to be a little bit fancy about how we do the text so that the text itself is going to be in a couple of layers. There's going to be the text itself, which is going to be in white on top of the image, and then there's going to be sort of a shadow effect so that the text stands out from the background image. And we're going to assemble that out of different layers that are stacked. So that will give you sort of a good overview of the important features of GIMP.